Hello there, guys. Today, I'm gonna talk about World War II. Well, the ending of it, sort of thing. The ending of World War II started with D-Day. D-Day in June 6, 1944 was one of the most important events of the endings of World War II. If this day didn't go well, we might not exist. So take this into consideration. It was the day when the Allies decided to attack France, well, like Nazi France from Normandy, and actually succeeded at taking its front. One of the things that got Germany a lot weaker was that it became such a wide empire, or however you want to call it, that the government couldn't control the military anymore. So that was exactly the same thing that happened to the Roman Empire. The Nazi Empire lasted for maybe 2-3 years, so yeah, it was not as successful, I guess. Another very important event was when the Soviets reached Berlin. This happened on April 16th, 1942, and at this date, the US and the Soviet army met at the Elbe River. This was a huge victory for them. This is such an important date too. This is an original postal card created on commemoration of this day, which I think it's pretty nice, so that's why I added it there. The next event that's very important, it's Hitler's suicide. While some theorize that Hitler never actually killed himself, everything points out that he did. And he suicided on April 30th of 1945, just some days later after he knew that Germany was being taken at the Elbe River. And this is such an important day too, because this practically ended with the hopes of the Nazis, because he was the absolute leader. He was like the Caesar. There was like the war actually was created due to him. So yeah, here's a real new that happened, like it's real. The paper is completely authentic, it's not fake, and you can see it was on black and white, and that was the headline, Hitler dead. So next up we have the date in which Nazi Germany collapses, which is, I really like this picture, it's one of my favorites. It was May 7th, 1945 that Germany collapsed. In June of that same year, the Allies signed the Declaration of Berlin, which ended with the war, at least in Europe, and it was June 5th, 1945. After that, after Germany surrendered, Japan kept fighting for a couple of months, and this, well, it was a tragedy. Like this, it's believed that the USA threw these bombs, not only to exterminate the hope of the people of Japan, but also to intimidate the Russians, like showing that they have this technology that they don't. They eventually get it by using spies, and eventually they get their own nuclear bombs, but This happened on August 15th, 1945, and it's the Hiroshima and Nagasaki thing. Here it's an actual picture. It's not fake. Well, no, it's a reconstruction of what would be, I think. And next up, the Federal Republic of Germany and the German Democratic Republic is created, in which eventually Germany, well, Berlin gets divided. We all know about the Berlin Wall, and here's an actual picture of what it looked like. It says on here, it says something about this is the American side, and it says like welcome to the American side, and well, that's it. Like, you can see everything torn apart. Like, it's so ugly, so destroyed. Next up, the European coal and steel treaty is created. It's a precursor of the European Union. The idea was basic, like nobody would be able to have their own steel factories. Like, steel factories would be like public to all Europe. So because without steel you cannot make war. Like, you forcefully need steel. Well, at least they forcefully needed steel to make war. So with this treaty, like, you have to show the amount of steel you have. The idea is really good, and it got upgraded later with the European Union. It became something much more complex, but it was a very good start. And next up, we have the USSR troops finally leave Germany in a neutrality agreement, and I'm gonna talk a bit more about this in the next slide. So here we have and here we have a drawing I made about the United States versus the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, right? Yeah, that's right. And what I'm gonna say about this is that the Soviet Union was following this ideal of Karl Marx, that was socialism, and the USA was fighting for capitalism. So at this point, the world is so tense because of both at this point of time, both republics, well, both countries had reached atomic power. So here I got my dad. Say hi.
Hi.
And he's going to give us his opinion on the ending of World War II.
Well, I think the end of any war is good news, and I believe many people were very relieved that the war finally came to an end.
Thanks. Capitalism is my definition. I think that capitalism is a system in which there's a great gap between rich and poor people, and I think that it's an unjust system because rich people have a much easier way to become richer or keep being rich than poor people to become rich. But at least in capitalism, they have the opportunity to become rich. Like, capitalism is full of opportunities, especially in low resource countries. There are lots of opportunities that poor people can take advantage of, but still, there's never going to be a like something in the middle. Like it's either some people have to be poor in order for others to be super rich, and the gap keeps becoming wider. So that's something we've seen, and yeah, it's an unjust system because rich people have an easier way than poor people. That's what I think. But it's still what's the best for now, I guess. And now onto communism. Well, this drawing, I don't know if you can see it very well. I had it here too. It's a cardboard box in which someone's sleeping in. And here is the same drawing now multiplied by 1 million. With what I mean with this is that communism has shown to be a very it's like an ideal that cannot be replicated on real circumstances. It's not possible. It's like the formula is really good, but applied, it's terrible because you end up with the same amount of poor people, just that you don't have rich people, because now you don't have economies like world power economies are rich due to the companies that create products for other countries. And well, in this case they don't do that. Everything is managed by the government, and there are very few jobs. People get a very small amount of money. Even if if you have many studies, you will earn the same thing as someone without studies. It's actually a pretty poor system. It's not something good, and we've seen it. Like we've seen Cuba and Russia left this system. It actually said this is not a good thing, and Cuba still uses this system, and look how they are. Like they're very poor, the people struggle, most of the people in there are not happy, but who knows. I guess it's a good formula, it's a terrible result. Yeah, that's what I define as communism and capitalism. My opinion on the ending of World War II is kind of the same like my father. I guess that an ending of a war is a great thing. Like, this war ended and started a new one. That's kind of sad. And also I think that the ending of this war was a very dramatical and drastic ending. I think that the USA overdid it with 2 bombs in Japan. I think that one was more than enough. Some people say that it's justified because it helped save many Americans, but it killed many more Japanese people.